got such an amazing crowd here. It's great to see so many smiling faces. Good afternoon and welcome to the Dr. Don Shondell Practice Center. My name is Beth Getz, and as your new athletic director, it is an honor to celebrate today's ribbon cutting with you. This is truly an amazing home for our volleyball and basketball programs and would not have been possible without the vision and generosity of so many that are here with us today. I know for certain this has been a labor of love, for you have been dreaming of this facility and the opportunity to recognize Dr. Don Shondell in the same profound way that he has impacted so many of you here today and across the country. I am thrilled for our student athletes and coaches now and for future generations who will have the opportunity to use this beautiful practice center. It shows a commitment not only to the competitive training of our teams, but to the transformational impact that being a Ball State student athlete can have on their educational experience. We all know firsthand that what is learned on the court will prepare these young men and women to be great contributors in their chosen fields of studies and in our communities. Each day on this floor, they will become even more skilled at teamwork, resilience, communication, and of course, understanding the dedication it takes to become excellent at your craft. In just the past few weeks, I've already experienced the joy of hearing the bounce of the basketball and the sight of a powerful serve as our teams are already hard at work here on these beautiful courts. The look of joy on their faces, realizing the space was now theirs to train in, was truly priceless. Whether it be for team practice, a film session, recruiting visit, or some TLC from an athletic trainer, this athletic facility will have a tremendous impact on the daily lives of our teams. This court, from here on forward, will tell the stories of those who came before us and those who will follow. It will hold dear the sweat, tears, friendships, and passion for the sports they love and the university they represent. Today is a joyous celebration and recognition of a true legend. We are so glad to have you here with us and know you will enjoy the rest of our program. Coach Solly and Coach Whitman could not be with us today as they are hard at work in securing future Cardinals in this July recruiting period. But we are thrilled to have our volleyball coaches in attendance, and I invite Kelly Miller and Joel Walton to say just a few words.
Hello, everybody. I am incredibly honored to be able to speak to all of you here today. It is so great to see so many people out here supporting Dr. Don and Ball State University. Dr. Don has impacted countless lives, and now with this new practice facility opening in his honor, he will impact lives for many, many years to come. The new practice center is going to be a game changer for all Ball State athletics. Being able to train in this beautiful center will give my team an opportunity to become their best. We have access to a gym at almost all times. So girls, one of my girls is here, no more excuses for missed serves. We got all kinds of time. The new practice center will give my team a chance to practice at the optimal time spot in the afternoon as compared to 7 a.m. or 7 p.m., which we've had to practice with in years past. This will give the students an opportunity to have a consistent routine, which will allow them to be successful in the classroom as well. From a recruiting standpoint, the addition of the practice center puts us at the top of the Mid-American Conference. It shows that volleyball is important and it's valued at Ball State, which is not something that you can say at all universities. I'm one of the many fortunate coaches to have fall under the Shondell coaching umbrella. I grew up here in Muncie and I began playing Munciana in 6th grade, and I immediately fell in love with the game. The Shondell family ran Munciana and really taught me everything I needed to know about not just the fundamentals of the game, but also how to compete, how to be a great teammate, how to work hard, and how to lead. The Shondell family is not just a family of coaches, but a family of teachers. The umbrella of coaches coming from Dr. Don's leadership is countless. He really is the reason why Ball State University is the volleyball capital of the nation. I want to thank Dr. Don for bringing volleyball to the Midwest and for all of his hard work and dedication to grow the game of volleyball. I want to thank the entire Shondell family, a lot of you guys here, which is awesome, awesome, awesome to see, for being an extended family to me and providing me mentorship, coaching, training, and friendship. I would not be the head women's volleyball coach at Ball State if it wasn't for their support and guidance. I am forever thankful and will continue to work to build upon the Don Shondell coaching legacy. I want to end by thanking all the donors who have helped build this amazing practice center. Your contribution will not just help volleyball and basketball, but the entire athletics department compete for conference championships. Ball State is absolutely flying in the right direction under the leadership of President Mearns and Athletic Director Beth Getz, and I believe there cannot be a more exciting time to fly behind them. On behalf of my team, my staff, myself, we sincerely thank each and every single one of you for all that you have done to help build this facility. Thank you.
This is a really special day. It's fantastic to walk into this building and see so many familiar faces, to see so many people beaming in this accomplishment that we've achieved. This has been for sure a dream, and it's a great way to recognize Don Shondell and the Shondell family for everything that they've done for volleyball. I've known Don Shondell for over 30 years. I played for him, I coached alongside him, and we've spent many hours playing volleyball, badminton, racquetball, tennis, and cards. Coach Shondell always loved competition. Anyone who has competed against Don understands what I mean. Don is always coaching. I'm certain that is why his former players call him coach. During our time together, Don coached me as an athlete, as a competitor, as a vehicle operator, as a person, and as a husband. I will start by saying that I'm grateful to Coach Shondell, who provided me the opportunity to play and to coach at Ball State University. Don worked passionately to start the Ball State men's volleyball program, and he's rallied numerous times to keep our program in existence. Coach's passion for teaching the game has impacted many people in Indiana, in Muncie, in the United States, and the world. Even though I've been head coach at Ball State now for 20 years, when I tell people what I do, Coach Shondell's impact on the sport is inescapable. Upon hearing that I'm the Ball State men's volleyball coach, inevitably people say, "You must be a Shondell." Because of Don Shondell's accomplishments in leadership in volleyball, Ball State is recognized as a leader in the sport. Today we are here to acknowledge Dr. Don Shondell by opening the practice center named in his honor. The new practice center will benefit the men's and women's volleyball and the men's and women's basketball teams here at Ball State, and I'm sure many other groups that will be able to use this space. This space will directly impact the men's volleyball program as we train, as we prepare. It'll help us with camps. There are so many ways, I'm not even sure that I even recognize or realize at this moment how many ways that this space is going to help us. But we know it's going to be a significant landmark in our program's history. I'm grateful to the Ball State administrators and donors who made this facility possible. I don't know any other university in the United States that has a building named in honor of their men's volleyball coach. And I think that makes this extremely significant. Coach, thanks for everything that you've done, and congratulations.
Thank you, Kelly and Joel. Before we hear from President Mearns and Dr. Don Shondell, I want to briefly acknowledge the incredible individuals who helped make this facility possible. We appreciate the efforts of CSO Architects, Powers & Sons Construction Company, Messer Construction, and all the Ball State staff members whose vision and hard work have resulted in this incredible space. And to the members of the Cardinal Commitment Campaign Committee who worked tirelessly to raise funds. And of course, I would be remiss without mentioning the friends and donors in the Ball State community whose financial contributions helped make the Shondell Practice Center possible, beginning with a $1 million gift from the Ball Brothers Foundation. We also want to thank Peggy and Ken Briner, Marla Templeton and Keith Greenwalt, IU Health Ball Memorial Hospital, Central Indiana Orthopedics, the Hamer D. and Phyllis Schaefer Foundation, and the Welter Foundation. There are a few other private donors whose names deserve mention today as well. They include Umit Toftali, Monsiana Volleyball, especially Tim and Sharon Kuzma, Mike Lingenfelter, and Wes and Debbie Lyon, as well as members of the Shondell family, Angela and David, Steve, Laura, and John. I also want to thank Megan and Craig Skinner, Catherine and Kelly Sheffield, Beth and Jeff Lang, Carrie and Judd Fisher, Deborah and Robert McIlvain, Carrie and Mick Haley, Betty and Marvin Gridley, Melanie and Chris Fancher, and George and Linda Branham. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce President Jeff Mearns, who is going to say a few words about Dr. Shondell before we hear from the legendary coach himself.
Thank you, Beth, and thank you for coming to Ball State and sharing your ambitions and your aspirations with us. We're delighted that you're here with us. And good afternoon. It is a pleasure to join you today for this very special event. And this has been a special day here on our campus. It's been an exciting day. Earlier this morning, as you probably know, we recognized our graduates at the summer commencement. And now we're here to celebrate the opening of the Don Shondell Practice Center. As you've heard, it's a wonderful, and as you can see, it's a wonderful state-of-the-art facility, and as you've heard from our coaches, it's one that will be a great resource for our volleyball teams and our basketball teams. You know, I've been here about 15 months. I wasn't here for the groundbreaking, but like many of you, I've followed the progress of its construction, anticipating the day, particularly anticipating the day for our coaches and our student athletes when they could set foot in this facility and begin to use this great facility. And it is, in fact, for all of us, an honor that the person whose name graces this practice center, the person whose legendary career we're here to celebrate, that Don Shondell is with us today. As you know, much better than I do, Don Shondell's college volleyball legacy is unparalleled in the history of this country. He's considered the architect for the great interest in volleyball here in East Central Indiana, and his family is one of the best known in the sport. As a graduate of our university, Don has dedicated his professional career to our university, and it has been nothing short of an exceptional career. He worked very hard to make men's volleyball a varsity sport at our university and to continue that legacy of men's volleyball. He holds the record for the most career wins by a Ball State coach, by any Ball State coach, having accumulated a career record of 769 wins. That's the second highest in NCAA men's volleyball history. But of course, in addition to his coaching success, we all admire the way Don has taught his children to inspire the next generation of volleyball players in Indiana and to be great parents and good friends. I think we also all admire Don's dedication to his health as well as his ongoing commitment to coaching youth volleyball in Muncie, including our 8th grade volleyball team at Burris. And so today, like so many of you, I'm grateful that Don remains an advocate and a friend for our athletics program, not just volleyball, but for our whole athletics program. Don, your pioneering spirit, your coaching credentials, they are respected and deeply admired by all of us. And I want to thank you on behalf of the entire Ball State community. Thank you for your extraordinary service to Ball State University. So I also just want to pause like Beth. As you know, this facility was the outcome of a successful $20 million Cardinal Commitment campaign, and it's a testament, a tangible testament to the generosity of so many friends and donors in the Ball State community. And I want to join Beth in thanking those donors who made this facility a reality. And 2018 has been an exciting year, a big year for Ball State athletics. In January, we opened the Yextingmeyer Golf Center, and now with the completion of this center, we hope these facility improvements, Beth, is going to help our athletics program recruit the best and brightest athletes and coaches to our university. So thank you all for joining us for the ceremony. Thank you all for your contributions to this campaign. And it is now my honor and my privilege to present to you Dr. Don Shondell.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that kind introduction, Rich. Thank you. About 2 weeks ago, I spent all night long thinking of what I wanted to say when I got up here at this little meeting. And then they told me, Steve came in the other day and said, you have 10 minutes. So I threw all that away. And decided what I could do in 10 minutes. And one thing is to just thank a lot of people, just like the president's already done. But I have a wonderful family, wonderful sons that have continued to coach volleyball and train. Steve trained, Dave trained someone like Kelly Miller, and she played for Steve. And he's just had a great opportunity to do those things. I have so many great players. The reason volleyball is spread around this country is because at the beginning, we put on demonstrations throughout the United States at the national conventions of the AHPR and USVBA, which is a volleyball association. Uh-oh, somebody doesn't like my talk. And it's one of my grandsons, okay? So I have, I think, 11 grandchildren, and 10 of them are girls, and that's one of them, my mother, of that little guy. And with all these boys in the family, we've had a number of granddaughters that have been raising children. And Lindsay, who's carrying that little one out, has had 3 children, and it's 3 boys. In 3 years, she had 3 boys, one at a time, for 3 years. And I said, Lindsay, I said, you've got to hold off on that. She's pregnant again, and she's going to have another one, but then it is, for good news in Shondell tradition, it's a girl. So anyway, that's what happens with your family sometimes. But I've been so impressed with my sons. See, John was at Newcastle and is now at Purdue, and is just a great assistant coach. And my son Dave, who is the head coach at Purdue in women's volleyball, has made that team a very competitive team in one of the toughest leagues in the country, the Big Ten. And year after year, Dave got his 12-year contract extended, and they're going to keep him there until he dies or retires in 10 years. But so that's very unusual for a volleyball coach to be given a lifetime lifetime contract. And so Dave has just done a great job at Purdue. And Steve is kind of one of the reasons this building has come about. Steve was the girls' practice team. He left Burris after so many successful years. Steve took over here at Ball State. And he found out because the limited practice facilities, they had to practice at 6 in the morning in the Worth Arena from 6 to 8, because basketball had the priority naturally. So Steve told me that we need another facility. And so Steve is kind of the mind behind this facility we have tonight. But fortunately, it's named for me, not Steve. But my claim is at least I'm his father, and I'm the one that got him started in sports and volleyball. I'm so impressed with our new president, okay? And the things he's done in this community are just tremendous. And he's brought Ball State and the Muncie community back together instead of us being a little isolated out on the west side of town like it was at the beginning. And I think that's just tremendous, and we're so happy to have him as our president. And Beth got hired when Steve came in and said, I met the new athletic director and she's a wonderful person. And so I sent her a note right away and just told her how happy I was and how I'd had some problems with an athletic director in the past. and she told me she was just really excited about volleyball and the growth of the sport. So she's one of my best friends forever, that's for sure. About the only other thing I want to say is I want to just tell all my former players just to stand up for a second. All my former players over the years, stand up. And a number of these guys have come back, and there they are. Thank you very much, fellas. Thank you very much. Now, the reason those guys are important is that we put all these demonstrations at all these various elementary schools and high schools around the state when they were on my team. And they were all on at the same time. Different teams over, like this is a 60-year period. And I've been out of coaching now for about 12 years. I think I finally retired, and Joel took over in 1999. Yeah, Joel took over in 1999. And Joel done a great job, okay? When I was coaching, we started the sport, and we got a head start on most of the other schools in volleyball because we worked with basic training and teaching people how to pass and serve the ball. And that's a critical thing in volleyball success nowadays. We still stress that all the time, passing and serving. And that was what Joel was good at as a player, and he's good as a seasoned coach. So that's a very important thing. I saw Kelly gave a presentation at the Montana tournament about 2 weeks ago, and her presentation was great. I was so impressed with what she told those kids in that, those coaches at that coaches meeting at Montana. And the way Montana was named, I've got to go back over that. My son Steve was a freshman at Ball State, and he had a softball team called Diamond Jacks that he had Diamond Jacks evidently sponsored a little bit. And so Steve had these girls that were good athletes. And so he found out that the AAU was holding his first junior championship in Catonsville, Maryland, which is a long way away. And Steve helped with the fundraising with that team. He has the same girls that played softball at Northside. Steve got them on his volleyball team. And he encouraged those kids to do all kinds of fundraising projects. And they just did things all over the area to raise that money so they could go to Catonsville, Maryland, and play in this first NCAA or USVB AAU championship. Now, needless to say, we certainly didn't win. Okay, Steve worked with those girls for about 3 weeks or a month, taught them some of the basic skills, but he ran into a lot of teams that had been playing for months and months and months. And so he came back with, what place were you, Steve, fifth or sixth? Seventh place. And for a guy that was winning state championship after state championship, that was tough for Steve to face, but he got it started. And then we were trying to think of a name for his team. And I said, Steve, I said, most of these teams, you can't tell where they're from. And I said, why don't you tell it Muncie, Anna, from Muncie, Indiana? And then everybody will know that you're from Muncie, Indiana. And so we did that, and that's how that Muncie, Anna program got its start. And Steve was kind of the start of it, and that's about the best volleyball training program in the country. They're out of Yorktown now, and they built a training center that's similar to this, that has, how many courts, Dave? Has 6 courts out there in Muncie, Anna. And so consequently, why they train a lot of kids. And Mike Lingenfelder, one of my former players, is the head of that along with Wes Lyon. And together, they just have one training session after another, where coaches come in and learn how to play with, how to teach the sport. So those are the things I'm excited about. I want to mention 1 or 2 people here that are here out of my coaching group. Jim Hetler. Jim, stand up if you would, Jim. This is Jim Hetler, and he's a graduate of Fort Wayne Southside, and he was on the volleyball team when I came down as a freshman, and Jim told me up at Fort Wayne to come down to Ball State. He said, tuition's only $50. And back then, that was a long time ago, tuition was $50, and there's all types of part-time jobs available. I've had a great life. I came to Ball State because Jim Hetler had told me about it being inexpensive down here. So I came down, and Jim was my roommate. Or I was his roommate, excuse me. And Jim had said, come on down to Ball State and be my roommate. And I came down, and about halfway through the first year, he said, hey, we've got a boys volleyball team going to Ball State, come over and play. I said, I'd never seen or heard a game of volleyball in my life. I'd never even heard of it. And Jim said, don't worry, we got guys that can teach you how to play. And so I came over, and I kind of learned how to play, and I became a fairly decent setter, so that Earlham College had a coach from California, and they had pretty good volleyball at Earlham. And because of this, Merle Rousey was his name, and he was a coach. And so anyway, they told me about the sport. When you get this age, your mind kind of fades. Okay, I'm 89, and I'm sort of feeling fine, but but your mind has trouble remembering each of my players, for example. They all look a little bit different. But I still can somewhat remember them, but I had trouble remembering all their names. And they tell me who they were, and then I'd remember immediately who they were and when they played and some of the great things that we did together. But anyway, that's just sort of the way my life's going right now. I'm hanging on. And one of my teaching friends, Earl Yessingsmeyer, had this new golf center named after him on Tilson, and then he died before that building was built. And I was thinking just today how fortunate I am to still be alive now that this building's finally built. And it took a long time. I'd go to the Y to work out. I work out 3 days a week, the YMCA, keep my weight down. Oh, that was the other thing. Keep your weight down. That was the other thing my dad told me. And I weigh about the same thing now that I weighed when I started as a freshman at Ball State. 168 pounds is what I weigh. But I count my calories. Okay, I'm very careful what I eat, and work out 3 days a week and so forth. So anyway, those are kind of the things I wanted to cover, but I certainly thank everybody. I was going to have all the people stand up that have contributed to this center, but I guess I won't. But I really appreciate that. See, here's Dave ready to give me the hook. Take my hand.
Great job. Great job. So before we proceed to the formal ribbon cutting, there's a couple of other people I'd like to recognize. First, President John Worthen is here today. John, thank you. He is a source of inspiration for me, and I know for so many of you as well. Thank you for being with us, John. One of the other reasons that I am so fortunate and privileged to serve here as the president is that we have such a strong board of trustees, and several of our trustees are with us today. Mike McDaniel, Jean Ann Harcourt, and our student trustee, Marley Jaycox. You know, and our board of trustees work very hard. They are dedicated and passionate about the future of our university, and it's so fortunate to have their guidance and their support. And it's now my privilege to introduce the chair of the board of trustees of Ball State University, Mr. Rick Hall.
Thank you, President Mearns. It's my great pleasure on behalf of the Board of Trustees to accept this great practice facility, so appropriately named after Coach Shondell. And as many of you know, I was a student athlete here at the university, at least the student part. In the basketball program, as I like to say, I had above average height and average coordination, which allowed me to play basketball. If I had had above average height, average coordination, and some athletic ability, I would have played volleyball. But my first impression, as I'm sure it was for all of you when you walk into this facility, is what a spectacular facility. It just screams excellence, and hopefully will instill in our student athletes the commitment that we have to our volleyball and basketball programs, and really make them believe that they are part of something special and that they will win. And we have great coaches here to help them in that regard. In thinking about how nice this facility was, I looked around and I saw this machine in the back that you may see where it catches all the balls and then it shoots it right back to the person that shot it, so you don't have to run down the ball and you don't have to get it and pass it to the guy that shoots. And I said to Mike McDaniel, this is fantastic, I wish you would have had these. And Mike said, well, you'd have had no spot on the team. So the other thing that is really great about this facility and why we're naming it after Coach Shondell is that as a former athlete, and I'm sure all the former players and coaches here today can attest to this as well, is that the real learning occurs during practice. I mean, that's where the team comes together, those special bonds are made. That's where those life lessons are passed on from the coaches to the players. And there's no better evidence of what a great job you did in that regard, Coach Shondell, than just the outpouring of support here today and recognition of your fine efforts. So thank you for not only being an excellent coach, but taking the extra effort to instill in all your players life lessons and values that bring them back here today. So let's just recognize that great quality. So at this time, I'd like to invite up here to participate in a ribbon cutting ceremony. President Mearns, Athletic Director Getz, Coaches Miller and Walton, Charlie Cardinal. Is Charlie in the house? Charlie is not in the house, I don't think. We'll take care of that later. I'd like to ask my fellow trustees, Mike McDaniel, Marley Jaycox, and Jean Ann Harcourt to join us. I'd like the members of the Shondell family, Don Shondell, Steve Shondell, Dave and Angie Shondell and family, John and Laura Shondell and family, Kim Fullove and family. And then also, none of this is possible without the great effort of volunteers, as has been indicated before, and the support of our foundation that really helps us with every special effort on campus. So I'd like to ask the two lead volunteers, Carrie Fisher and Beth Lang, to also join us up here for the ribbon cutting ceremony. So thank you all for being here today, and we'll officially accept this facility on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
We want to invite you all to continue to enjoy this facility by touring this space. So we've got the training room and the team meeting room, which are all located down on this lower level. There's 2 meeting rooms and the donor recognition wall that's located on the 2nd level. And we're going to have refreshments available in the arena lounge. The location is at gate 1 here on the lower level as well. As the new academic year and new sports seasons quickly approach, we want to extend an invitation to you all to come watch our talented young athletes and wonderful coaches training on these courts and also in competition on the arena floor. It is an honor for these student athletes to represent Ball State, each of you here today, and always as they put on the uniform and wear the cardinal proudly. It means so much to have you by their side, cheering them on, and I thank you all again for your continued support and generosity. Let me close by saying that this celebration does not mark the end of the journey. It instead serves as inspiration for a bold vision of continued and even greater success for Ball State, our student athletes, and our coaches. Together we will aspire to achieve even greater heights. Together we will fly. Have a great afternoon, and go Cards.